should have started now. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Some anime leave you questioning the metaphors of its story, of what it means to be human. Some anime have amazing backdrops and cyberpunk settings that leave you with a damn, that's cool. Some anime have stories that just go halfway and point to nothing and leave you pissed off by the end. Welcome to Geneshaft Review. So this is where we
Oh my
review.
God.
This is where we review the 2003 anime Geneshaft or Geneshaft or Geneshaft or whatever you want to call it.
I don't even know at this point. It's something.
It is something to behold, and we're just gonna be going through each process, telling you what the anime is like, what its themes are, which themes are,
What's about?
how its ending was, how its characters were, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty good start to kind of. Let's actually first talk about the soundtrack, actually, because I feel like they really tried to push that one home.
Okay, so before we begin that, let's start with a bit of background. Geneshaft is a 2003 anime. It is not a manga, and it was developed independently, and it has one of the most metal soundtrack you could ever get in an anime. It's as if Metallica itself. They asked Metallica themselves to try and write songs for this soundtrack. It is something to behold. Anthony, what did you think about it?
Well, if I'm correct, the entire soundtrack was developed by Akira Takasaki, who so he was the only one who worked on it, and it was all kind of just guitar riffs and whatnot, and like when you contact like a metal sound, like someone who just does metal songs, it's kind of like if your entire soundtrack is all metal or Metallica. It leaves a lot to be desired at specific points when it's like, why does this happen?
Oh yeah. So.
Oh yeah, it's
So do you
2001 by the way. Geneshaft is 2001.
2001. My mistake. There's many points in this anime that where the soundtrack works, but where it doesn't. So, so one of the points of where it doesn't is at one point, I can't remember in which episode, it was either 2 or 3, but they're in this situation, they're in this dire situation, and all you hear is just this guitar riff going over and over again, and then it just comes up at just random points. Like, like you just get something like a do, and then that's it.
And it's not even for like dramatic scenes or anything like that. It's usually just like two people are just talking to each other about a relatively normal conversation. Like, I don't know, something like
Yeah. They had conversations, and then you just get this metal ass soundtrack
like
setting up this serious tone as if they're about to be attacked.
and like all they're talking about is like her dog or something like that, right? They're just talking about how she misses her dog or something, and it's like da-na-na-na.
Like the tone is a bit all over the place.
But I mean, I guess you get what you paid for. You get like one songwriter, like you get one person to do all of the music for it, and that's like their specialty. It kind of screws up a bit.
Impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
Now let's.
but I find the music to be actually quite good though by itself.
The music by itself is pretty good. Would recommend it. It's not the way the anime handled it, But instead of instead of not talking about the soundtrack, let's move on to the story.
What
So the
story?
story of Geneshaft. What story? What story? So the story of Geneshaft is shaky at best. So the plot is essentially we're in a
Actually, before you get into
distant
that, sorry.
okay.
Geneshaft is technically an adaptation of Lunashaft, which is a manga. So
Ooh.
just felt like throwing that out there. So it is an adaptation of it, but we're reviewing it as its own separate entity rather than referring to Lunashaft, which is
Okay, right.
the initial one. So
Well, the plot of Geneshaft is that in the distant future, all humans are genetically modified.
I think they're genetically
And
made now. It's like
yeah, yeah, they're all. It's a eugenics wet dream.
yeah.
And apparently something wrong went down in the 21st century. I don't know what we did wrong.
Yeah, some kind of brink
I,
of destruction. They never really explained that what we did
yeah,
wrong, but
yeah, I don't know what we did wrong.
I don't know.
Kind of a hit on us. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, felt
Um,
personally attacked in that one. Come
yeah,
on,
I
guys.
feel personally attacked. Come on, guys. And essentially, it just what happens is that you have these genetically modified humans, and they're all over space now, all over the galaxy. Um, but now there's the and this is where you start to see the problem. They don't really set up a good introduction.
The only
Like
introduction you really get from this is like we've hit the ideal woman to men ratio of 9 to 1, and that's
exactly.
like pretty much it. And you're not even told why that's the ideal amount or why that specifically matters. And to be frank, for the rest of the series, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I feel like it's just like a reason given to like I don't know the artists who just wanted to draw more women. I guess that was like their whole thing. I have no clue why it was 9 to 1, and if it was said during the anime, I definitely didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
But
So there's the there's this plot where there's rings that are trying to destroy humanity. Like it just pops out of nowhere.
I mean, later on,
And
it's explained where they come from.
yeah,
So
later on it's explained. It's by something called Oberus.
yeah, and they're
Now
like the what?
we'll get into later what Oberus is,
Yeah,
but
because that's end
it
game.
yeah, that's in the end game. But essentially, it's just a very shaky plot, and you don't know what the hell is going on. The introduction is all over the place. Majority of it is with the characters. You get introduced to the characters, but you barely see what's happening in the world. You get little few drops of hints, but nothing too big. Like you don't even go down to Earth and see anything. Also,
No.
there's a talking dog. Did we mention there's a talking dog? There's
Oh
a talking
yeah,
dog.
yeah. There's like the main character is like Mika Seido. We haven't even said the main characters. Yeah, Mika Seido, who is someone who's got I don't know that they call her like a white.
The white, the white,
Yeah, the white, and apparently
the
that's
white
like
gene.
yeah something to do with her genes being like
Apparently,
shit or something.
they never specified if it was good or bad. Like at one
Yeah,
point, they were like, "Oh, you're a white. This is what I expect from you."
yeah,
But
they're
then,
like
but then,
extremely
like,
racist to her for
yeah,
being
but
like
then,
a white
but then,
gene.
but then, like at the end, they're like, "Oh, you're a white. We know you can do it. That's our white."
Yeah.
Which is like, which is
And-
like it doesn't work both ways.
and it was like a sudden tonal shift. Like there was one character, what was it? Like the captain, what was his name? I'm a guy. What the fuck? Hiroto. That's what his name was. I'm not going to say his last
You
name.
start to forget. You start to forget who the characters are.
No, I just can't
Except
pronounce it.
two characters. Except two characters.
Yes, yes.
Which we'll get into. Which we'll get into.
Yes, yes. So anyway, what is him? Hiroto, who's like the captain, he will constantly like call like Mika Seido or Mika. I'll just call her from now on. He constantly tells her to go like fucking get in the mech Shinji bullshit where they get her to pilot this thing called like the Shaft, which is like a big metal space robot.
It's called the Shaft. It is called the Shaft.
Yeah, it is called the Shaft, and big metal space robot that basically straddles onto their ship like I don't know, like it's having sex with the ship. I don't know what the fuck it's
It
doing.
just cradles on. It just cradles onto
Yeah,
it, like with arms crossed and everything.
yeah. It's like I don't know how that thing's connected. Like they show it was connected multiple times, but it's like connected by like a few wires. I don't know how the hell that thing is staying on the ship, but whatever. Um,
And they keep reusing a lot of scenes.
Yeah, they reuse a lot of scenes whenever the shaft gets deployed. Anyway, yeah, this guy constantly just this Hiroto guy just constantly says like for Mika to pilot the shaft because I don't know, she's like a white and he like
Yeah.
knows her potential or something like that, and everyone else is
So
just a mega
yeah,
racist towards her.
yeah. So the shaft is like this mechanical robot thing, and it needs to be controlled. And like the majority of our protagonists are women, as well. The
Which I
captain's
mean,
a
go
male.
figure. Yeah, the captain.
Yeah, go figure.
All of the authority figures in this anime are male. This isn't like a sexism thing. I mean, it might be. I have no fucking clue. But yeah, all of the big major command roles are given to the males. Aside from like, I think there's like the registers who are different.
There was like one commander who was a woman, but then
Oh yeah, yeah. The commander of the
but
fleet was a woman.
yeah,
Yeah,
but then
yeah. She
she
got
got
axed.
she got axed in like the first in the episode she appeared in. So
Yeah, so I forgot about her. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, we don't really focus on many of the main. There's like one main character, and we'll talk about his name later, just because their names are so great.
so
So,
it's piloted by
w-
um Mika Sato, but then she also has the cast her other crew members.
yeah,
Um so the next one is her friend Sophia. And we don't get much information on Sophia except the fact that she's a green beret of some sorts.
yeah.
Experienced, hella experienced. We also get Tiki or Tinkerbell,
Oh yeah, no.
uh,
Sophia's codename was Teddy Bear.
Teddy Bear. They all have code names, by the way.
It's pretty weird
Um,
though, considering that they try to make it seem like later on they try to make it seem like it's an ongoing gag that her teddy bear name gets confused with something else, or but they never actually made that an ongoing gag ever. It was just like mentioned once by Tiki later on that like I don't know what did she say something about like her being like the most muscular teddy bear or some shit like that.
Something like that.
And it's like you make fun of her code name, but she only really mentions it in like the second episode, first or second episode. I think it was the first one. She mentions her code name, and then it's just like never stated really ever again. They don't call them each other by their code names ever until like some sections near the end. But even then, it's like very rarely. So I don't even know why they were given code names.
Yeah. So we have Hiroto, the captain, and he apparently has some history with Mika Sato, in the fact that apparently he got her friend killed,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you learn why about what happens, and we'll talk about that later. And then we also have Tiki's brother, Mario Yushikanova, the sub captain, the backup captain, and he's quite a character.
I'd probably say one of the better characters in that show.
Yeah, one
to
of the
be
better
honest.
characters. He somehow manages to change everybody's emotions in like 2 episodes,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that as well.
We have
And then we have the other character.
we first we have the register as well. His name is
Yeah, we have
Beatrice.
the registers. Beatrice the
Beatrice.
register.
We
And
have
now registers are apparently like these emotionless human working computers.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, they never specified what a register was. I thought
No,
a register was a robot.
no, no. They're like normal humans that are like basically forced to work in like inhumane conditions, but they give them like drugs to keep them awake or something, to keep their brain from melting. So
Yeah,
it's
essentially some.
it's basically like underpaid tax workers that are just constantly, working with
Yeah,
like the lowest wage
but
salary.
yeah, they're just drugged,
Yeah, that's what I
and they
meant.
don't understand what human emotions or things like that are. But Mario Musicanova changes that.
Yeah, what a great
And he
guy.
does that, and he does that really quickly. which is really weird.
Out of left field too, so it's
Yeah.
kind of random.
So the whole point of this show,
Whoa, we're still introducing
as you run.
characters. Come on, come on. We got
Oh, right, right,
we got Remy
right,
as well,
right. We got Remy.
and
Uh,
what was that? What was that bitch's name? Sorry, I forgot.
so
Well,
this is why you see
fuck, what was her name?
Geneshaft's characters are very very unique, but they're also a bit forgettable. I
God,
think it was Mio. Mio it was.
maybe something like that.
And
Whatever.
apparently she's like one of the greatest pilots, one of the better pilots.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. I mean, she's not
and
even appearing on
she
the My Anime list for it, so because she's not.
okay, well there you go, because she's that forgettable.
And then we've got the man.
And then you've got the man. So
We'll talk about him later.
yeah, no, we'll talk about him right now.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so this show has a primary antagonist. And he is the greatest character in this show. I
In
do not
all of
care.
anime.
I do not care about what anybody says about him. He could be a lackluster character for all I care, but his name is Sergei the Fourth, also better known as Lord Sneak. So Lord Sneak is a character.
Oh, that's not even his code name. That's his legitimate name. He
That's
does.
his legitimate name.
Sneak is part of his name. It's like its middle name, right, or last name, something like that.
It's his last name. It's Sergei the Fourth Sneak,
Yeah.
but people call him Lord Sneak.
Fucking
This is
legend.
this is it. This is an anime.
Yeah.
This is Geneshaft. This is an anime. Geneshaft is an anime.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think like the opening sequence to Lord Sneak, we get him talking about how he really values. I don't know. He doesn't like that people can just be genetically, reproduced at any time.
And then we proceed to shoot a register.
Yeah, he proceeds to shoot his register for no apparent reason whatsoever. He just kind of does it.
He can do what he wants. He's Lord Sneak.
Yeah, there was nothing prompting that either. It's not like the register like talked back to him or said anything that was like displeasing to him. He just kind of shot her for the sake of it. So
So now that we've gone over the characters, it's time to explain the metaphor of the story. So the metaphor for Geneshaft is essentially just what it means to be human.
or I'd hope it is.
Yeah. Um and the themes of humanity, and it's essentially just this cyberpunk dystopian, well, not cyberpunk, but it's basically a dystopian future setting. And throughout the episodes you just get like little drops that this is not like a perfect society and things like that.
Mm.
And by abandoning like our natural ways and things like, and moving towards genetic engineering, we've lost some of our humanity. But the way Geneshafts present these themes of humanity is very rough.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to explain the best reason to explain why this is so rough is by looking at episode 6, 7. I think it might have been 7. So this episode involves the rings.
Mm.
Now these rings are capable of destroying whole fleets and things like that, and maybe even planets, possibly.
I don't think they ever did
Um,
blow up a planet.
Yeah, they did, but like it's weird because they never fully explain like
Yeah.
what the power of these rings are. And essentially just what happens is that apparently this ring just transported a NASA
Yeah.
spaceship from the 21st century.
Yeah. I
And
don't.
then they come into the 23rd, I think.
Yeah, it was 23rd. It was 23rd.
Yeah, they're in the 23rd century now, and they come across
You
the
know,
ship
our
that
protagonist.
Mikasato and her crew are on. Yeah, our
Yeah.
protagonist is on.
And it was like what was it? They had like it was like an American ship that was stranded and whatnot. They sent out like the SOS beacon. Our protagonist ship picks it up. You know, they go pick up the ship. But since they're considered like aliens, and I guess people just really dislike people from the 21st century because, you know, disaster century, whatever. They never say what the 21st century did, though so wrong. But I guess the people of the 21st century thought it was like the way that they handled, like, you know, genetics and whatnot is kind of screwed up and like forces humans to be something that they're really not. Like they can't love or they don't know what any of that stuff is, stuff
We
like
can
that.
only live until like 45 years
Yeah,
in
and
the
there's
23rd century.
and these astronauts state that there's so much more to life, whatever, you know, yada yada yada. Our protagonists kind of question it for a little bit and then
Yeah.
completely
Like
forget
there
about
was
it
like
a few
yeah,
episodes later.
there was like one moment where Sophia tries to play cards with there's a black guy,
Yeah.
um, a black astronaut, and he tries to play cards with him, and to see if this girl has emotions. This black guy just goes and straight up kisses her, like without consent and things like that. I mean, if this was today, they'd be canceled.
Oh
He'd
yeah,
be
I know.
canceled big time. But Sophia is just like, essentially, why did you think of giving me mouth to mouth?
Yeah, I'm not
Which is,
suffocating or something like that.
yeah, not suffocating. Um, and essentially it just boils down to them seeing that the 23rd century is just hollow and having no emotion, so they try to hijack the ship.
Oh yeah, yeah. They hold
Um,
like the captain. No, they hold the register at like gunpoint.
yeah,
And since she can't take her drugs, she goes like mentally insane or something like that for a little while. Um, yeah. So and they treat like the people from the 21st century like they're pets or something. Like Mika is trying to, I don't know, educate them so that they don't, I don't know, do whatever they did in the 21st century.
shit.
Yeah. I don't know. And they later like kind of, I guess, inflate, kind of like Mika kind of questions her humanity in a bit, and then it just literally just gets forgotten. Oh, and randomly the people from the 21st century just vanish.
Yeah, once they, even though they hold them at ransom, they just fucking disappear.
Yeah, they just randomly disappear. And what was it? I think the only thing that stayed behind was their like cigarette package or something like that.
Mhm. Which I don't understand. Their whole spaceship just disappears.
Yeah, their whole spaceship, their uniforms, they themselves, everything vanishes except for that cigarette package. Which was like it was shown as like a memento for them, for the astronauts, but just doesn't make sense from like a lore standpoint why it should stay there. But whatever, you can do what you want, and so it's there. But they vanish without ever actually stating why they vanish. Nobody on the ship questions why they vanished, and they just kind of go, "Okay, yeah, they're gone now. It's time to move on." And just everything from that episode just gets completely overshadowed and ignored.
Um,
So,
this anime just tends to go all over the place.
mhm.
So Lord Sneak is the primary antagonist, and his whole point is that, um, he's like what, a failed clone?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was like the fourth clone of Lord Sneak, and his like genetics or whatever, his genes are fucked.
Yeah. He's the primary antagonist because he wants to eradicate humanity.
Yeah, he wants to restart humanity, like on a fresh, clean slate or something, away from
Well,
the
no,
government.
not restart. He wants to destroy everything,
Yeah, because he
like
wants
all
to.
of humanity.
Yeah, because he wants it to all restart essentially.
Yeah.
So, well, oh, that also brings to question actually. There's a council of elders who are essentially a group of like old guys on Earth.
First century.
Yeah, from the 21st century, who've apparently been around for like that long, and are basically the government. And yeah, Lord Sneak is trying to like betray them essentially and wipe out
Lord Sneak
humanity.
is a part of the government. He
Yeah,
is very sneaky.
but
That's why it's in his name.
he wants to betray the government too and everyone else. So he's like
Yeah, he's so he
ultimate
technically
sneaky.
betrays the rest of the crew. Um,
The
he is
government and
he
everything.
is Lord Sneak after all.
Yeah, you obviously can't blame him. He's just doing his sneaky ways.
Yeah. So majority of these episodes just come to the crew going up and destroying rings.
Yeah,
Um,
rings attack them. They destroy it with the shaft. The shaft is like malfunctioning quite a bit along the way.
yeah.
Uh, and that's pretty much it. I think most of the time it's just Mika piloting the shaft. They've had like one or two episodes.
Okay, but this shaft. So the thing about this shaft is that it's experimental,
Yeah,
but it keeps breaking down
yeah.
every single time in each episode.
But like,
You will see in almost every episode the shaft just having breakdowns.
and they always get Mika to pilot it instead of everyone else who is supposed to be pilots, like Sophia, fucking Tiki, and whatever her name is, Mio. I don't know her name. They're supposed to be pilots as well, but they only ever get Mika to do it. I think Tiki does it once, and that's it. Oh, and Sophia did it once too at the end when
Yeah.
she killed.
So
Kind of
as we go
king.
through the story, characters tend to die off.
Yeah, and they
Um,
die off with like they try to give them convictions that were never given to them or in their character at all since the beginning.
yeah. So
Oh,
so
the ending.
Mario Musica Nova is one of them. So Mario Musica Nova is one of the sub captains, and
I,
he plays into this whole thing of
actually,
having emotions and things like that, and
we'll just save him for
not being
later because his is a lot more important.
yeah.
We can just start with like Sophia's first.
Sophia? Okay, Sophia.
Yeah, because she kills herself essentially. But
Hmm.
what she says is spoilers, I guess. But what she says is, I don't think anybody's actually gonna watch this.
Hmm.
Sophia states that, oh, I just wanted to be a mother and raise a child. Never before this
Never,
moment when she
never.
tells this to Mika does she ever state wanting this or this being her goal. Ever. It's never been mentioned except for this one last moment. And then she kills herself protecting the ship. And it kind of just leaves a question, and there is no real reason as to why the shaft, which she was piloting at the time, why the shaft actually killed her in any way, because the shaft wasn't damaged after that, or it didn't look damaged at all when it docked back again. And like the blast that the shaft did, Mika had done previously the exact same attack that happened, but Mika was completely fine whatsoever. And maybe that's like the whole white jeans thing. I don't fucking know, but it's like there wasn't really a clear reason as to why she died and Mika didn't, and like Mika didn't when she used the blast, and she used that blast like multiple times afterwards, and nothing happens. But yeah, it's character inconsistencies like this that are kind of jarring because Sophia suddenly says, "Oh, I just wanted to be like a mother all along," when that was never stated as part of her character like previously ever. And
Mhm.
that kind of consistency then carries over to many of the other characters, like Mario Musica Nova, which you can continue on your statement from before, because that one's a lot more important. Oh, but should we talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
Oh, okay. So this goes back to Mario Musica Nova. So Mario Musica Nova is, well, I've already explained who he is, but essentially he's Tiki's twin, and the way he dies is just so weird. So the captain at this point is out of action, um, because of his genetic. Like even that's just never explained properly. Um, and since he's backup captain, he goes around and talks to all the characters, and one of them is Beatrice, the Register. Now, Beatrice, the Register, is, well, essentially just a hollow, correct?
Yeah, she's like just a regular
Yeah.
person,
But
but
Mario Musica Nova has something powerful. He has the very first example of Talk no Jutsu. He is just, oh my god. So this guy, So you're gonna have to explain this, man. This guy is something else.
So yeah, out of left field, Mario Musica Nova suddenly develops this interest in learning about human love or whatever, like emotions, which was never explained in his character prior to that. So it's again something that just randomly pops up. And he decides that, and this is after Hiroto, which is the main captain, was put under commission for like mental stress, which is apparently like a byproduct of his DNA or some shit. I don't know, something like that. So Mario then becomes the captain since he was the co-captain, and that's like his job, right? But then he goes randomly talks to Beatrice and talks to her about feeling love or something like that. And he goes, "That's my goal, was to find out what love feels like." And it's like, okay, yet another character who has never mentioned this ever, and now that's suddenly his goal. And he hugs Beatrice, kind of to, I don't know, some kind of like this guy like talks his way through, I guess, making her feel emotions of love or something. And Beatrice kind of like remembers her past as a child or something, being hugged by a mother. I don't know, something like that. I guess she got her memories wiped, and it comes off as so like shoehorned in to the plot, because the Register is supposed to be like the most deadpan looking character. She's just there to be a manager, so to speak, to the ship, and she's never really felt emotions, and then suddenly this guy just like randomly states, "No, you do feel emotions," and now she does. It's weird. And then like Beatrice's whole character arc is loving Mario, and then a few episodes later, Mario fucking kills himself.
So she fights off against this Yu-Gi-Oh character, and oh my god, how based is this Yu-Gi-Oh character?
He appears for like 2 episodes.
This guy appears for like, I'm pretty sure, 1 episode. Is there to only beat up his Register? Like, the straight up backslap his Register.
Oh, you know
like, I'm
what?
pretty sure that they were there just to beat women.
that
This guy was on a whole other level.
That guy
Like, he
talks
was
to
pissed.
Lord Sneak or something, and then as exiting the room, for no apparent reason, just bitch slaps his Register with a
Bitch slaps
backhand
his Register
for
for,
no
like-
reason.
Bro, this guy cannot be stopped. He's a menace to society. Black Air Force energy.
And yeah, he's like chose to look like a child apparently as well. And he just looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character, like straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Genuinely like a Yu-Gi-Oh character. Which is absolutely hilarious. Considering.
Considering he just bitch slaps people and tells them that
Yeah.
they fucked.
So he and Mario Musica Nova know each other apparently, and then they
From, like,
just
school.
die in 1 episode.
Oh yeah. The Yu-Gi-Oh character also kills the only like female commander, the fleet commander we were talking about earlier. Yeah, she gets fucking killed by Yu-Gi-Oh character.
This guy just does not like women.
Yeah, no, he's just based.
He's based.
So he dislikes women, kills her, and becomes the new fleet commander because he says, "Oh, it was an accidental fire," or something like that. They didn't really gloss upon that too well. And he and Mario apparently fucking hate each other because this guy was top of the class and had different ideals on how people should act. Because again, then they start shoehorning Mario's little love thing where he loves to talk about love. And apparently that was like a thing he had since he was a kid, because they had like a little flashback sequence of him and the Yu-Gi-Oh character. I fucking don't remember that guy's name, and I don't actually care. So
Yeah, so when Tiki hears about Mario's death, and this is the character inconsistency right here as well, she thinks it's Mika Sato's fault because she didn't pick him up from their ship fast enough.
Oh yeah, because what he does, he teleports into the Yu-Gi-Oh guy's ship and fucking blows them both up with like a suicide bomb attempt. And it's supposed to be like really impactful because nobody on his ship wants to save the Yu-Gi-Oh character because he's a massive dick. And yeah, so and Mario, there was like some kind of fault with the teleportation thing, so his hand wasn't working, so he couldn't shoot the guy. So we blew them both up instead, like vaporized them, and then Mika Sato using the shaft goes to try and pick him up, and he's dead. So then she comes back, tells everyone that he's dead, and then Tiki blames her. Yeah, you can continue your
Um,
point.
yeah, but Tiki absolutely blames who is this? He blames
Mika.
Mika Sato for
Yeah.
it. But then when and then she cries as well. So this is where like the whole spectrum of the emotions just gets called into question. Like they're supposed to be emotionless, yet they have emotion, which is really weird.
Yeah,
Um,
and then the one who comforts her is like Beatrice, right?
yeah,
Who walks up and goes, "Can I have his knife?" or something like
yeah,
that, as something to remember him by, and
yeah.
just
Like Beatrice the whole time was just like emotionless, but like now, because for some reason Mario talked to her.
Mario hugged her and talked to her about
Mario hugged
emotion,
her.
and now she cares about him, and it's really random because she asked for like the knife, which was like the last possession he had on her, like on him when like he died and got vaporized. The knife for some reason stayed. So she asked to keep the knife, and suddenly now Tiki is perfectly fine. Doesn't blame Mikaseto at all. She's just fine.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah. She
like,
just tells Mika to come back.
yeah,
Like,
it's
which
like,
doesn't make any fucking sense since she just said, "I hate you,"
yeah, I'll always
and
despise you or something like
yeah,
that. And it's like
there's always just so many character inconsistencies.
5 minutes later, she's fine. And I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah,
not how emotions work.
yeah, and that's just how the series goes. It's filled with character inconsistencies and all that. So and here's the thing: these plots go nowhere until they come to a head in like the final last two episodes. The Lord Sneak tries to blow up, you know, tries to destroy the Earth
Like,
um
I think he went to
by
like the Ring's home planet of like Europa or something like that.
yeah. Apparently Oberus was
On Europa and
a planet on the planet Europa,
yeah.
which was really weird. Um, and the way they chose to do these episodes was really weird. So Lord Sneak tries to kill them, and he goes down there just to wait for the um impending death of humanity. And what happens is all these rings just start appearing around the sun, so it just blocks it out. So I guess they're just gonna suffocate the world to death with like eternal cold or something like that. Um, but the captain, Hiroto, is just like, you know what? I'll I'll destroy Oberus myself, and proceeds to completely orbitally bombard the planet until he creates a fucking atmosphere. Which how the hell do you do that? Like how do you create an atmosphere just by bombing a planet? If that's the case, we would have been able to go into Mars ages ago. Maybe we should try that.
Send off a bunch of
Just,
nukes to Mars in hopes that it makes
and they
enough.
create, yeah, and then this guy just fucking goes down.
Yeah, he goes
He
down and
goes down
tries
to
to
the
like
planet.
he tries to
Like,
suicide bomb because he wants to fulfill his mission or something of
yeah,
stopping Lord Sneak.
and then, but like it's like it's cold down there, and it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
No, and
Like
then
it's so difficult.
and then fucking like Lord Sneak greets him down there,
hmm
beats the shit out of
Um,
him.
yeah, beats the shit out of him with a gun. But then after all that is said and done, and you know Mika Sato just hates this person. But like
Like
by the end, for some reason, they're all friendly with each other.
yeah, like Mika Sato hated the captain for for killing her best friend at the beginning. I think we mentioned that briefly. But and the captain never states, like he states very briefly that it was like, oh, it was her decision or something like that. But Mika is still shown to be like visually frustrated, and all of a sudden, after the captain gets sick, Mika suddenly loves him or something like that. Uh, and it's like, why?
Why?
And then
Just why?
she suddenly goes to stop him from blowing himself up, like and taking the planet down. That way, the rings stop terrorizing Earth or something like that. And it's like, okay,
When it ends, Lord Sneak is just nowhere to be found. Like he just fucking disappears.
yeah, they don't even kill Lord Sneak because he states that he's immortal, shows that he's immortal, and then because he's like the highest, I don't know, like the most genetically modified person or something like that, and he meets like his former selves, the former Lord Sneaks, who are all very good people supposedly, and
So, so this show tries to bring plots about humanity and things like that, but like, by the end, Oberys and the rings are blown up. Yeah, the Register is like more emotional now, but like the immortals who are on planet Earth, they're still around.
yeah,
So nothing's happened. Nothing changes.
and they explicitly state that Lord Sneak is still alive. Like they show that he's still alive, and they show that like the captain and whatever her name is, Mika Sato are still alive and whatnot. They never state what happens after that though. Like
It just ends. It
it
just
just ends.
ends.
They don't state
It
if
just
they
ends
blew
right
up
there.
Europa. They don't state if like humanity's saved, which we just have to assume that they do. They don't state if anybody like got into a relationship after that or something like that. I don't know, like romance subplot. They don't state any of that. They just kind of just go yes, ending.
It's overall a very messy anime, which is why it's very difficult to talk about, which is hence the messy order it's in. It's it's an anime that you cannot watch alone.
Definitely, I don't think I could watch this without having you there, laughing at Lord Sneak whenever he appeared
Yeah,
on the
laughing at
screen.
Lord Sneak. Lord Sneak is the only highlight of this.
Yeah, that was like a legendary name. We had like fucking Lord Sneak, Tinkerbell, and Teddy Bear.
Exactly. But other than that, there is nothing.
Oh, and they never called Tiki Tinkerbell.
Did they not?
No, they never did for the whole series. They like she stated that's her code name, and then just nobody used it.
So as you can see, this series is very, very, very underwhelming. It took us a while to get through this one.
Yeah, which is why I think
And
we had like a lot to say of this review.
mhm. Yeah, what would you give your rating of Geneshaft?
Well, we haven't even talked about the art either,
The art.
because I honestly
What
wouldn't
is there
say
to say about the art?
I wouldn't say it's bad per se, but I definitely it's like mediocre for that time. It was all hand
Is
done, so
it was hand done, but it was all pretty much mediocre. The animation was okay.
well,
Like it's
okay.
pretty good for a 2001 animation.
Yeah, the problem I had is just with Sophia in general. They could not keep her character's body type consistent. There are some times when she is buff as all hell, and I'm like, okay, now she's swole. And then there's times where she's just the skinniest bitch out there, and I'm looking like, what the fuck is what? And it's the same frame too. It's like 1 minute she's looking one direction and is swole, and then she turns around and is skinny as shit. And I'm like, what the fuck happened in between those frames? I don't know. I guess they wanted to make her look somewhat like buff, but I guess there's some animators who didn't know how to like draw a buff woman and resorted to just making her tall. And there's just so much problems with like her anatomy in general. It's just Sophia, to be completely honest. The other characters I didn't have too much qualms with, or I just didn't notice it because eventually I just stopped caring. But oh, that was like the only problem I had when it came to like art style and whatnot. Because otherwise it's serviceable. The shaft is CG, but it's like blends slightly with everything else. It's not bad. I wouldn't call it terrible. And the CG is like not noticeable either because you know the shaft is in a void essentially. It's in space. So
You start ignoring the CG. It's not that bad.
yeah, it's definitely not too bad. So I don't know. You want to give final ratings then?
Yeah. My rating for Geneshaft is about 3 Lord Sneaks out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it a 2 Lord Sneaks out of 10. If you're gonna
This
watch it
anime
with a
is very
friend,
consistent.
if you're gonna watch it with a friend, then maybe 4. Like 4 out of 10 is fine. But if you're watching it by yourself, either skip it out, or if you really want to know what the fuck Geneshaft is about, then yeah, no, it's a 2. You'll have a tough time continuing through this.
We had a guy who who had a description of this anime beforehand, and we read it, but we didn't listen to him. Looking back on it now.
Yeah, we've seen some comments on it, and that guy was right. It was advertised as
glad
a
we
mecha
met.
show, and it just does not deliver on that part.
The only thing you will find good is Lord Sneak.
Yeah.
Alright, that concludes this recruit review. Thank you very much for watching.